Week 7 of Nelly and Nick's picks are coming in here in just a moment. We are finally back with Nelly. He's returned from his illness.
We're so bad.
I'm not sure if he watched the show last week. I had a lot of words to say.
Yeah. I
Well,
heard you.
as upset as I was, it's nice to have you back this week. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. We did not do Game of the Week last week. We've got that for this week. So, before we get going here, we're going to really quick see what's going on. What's new? Today, we have Week 7 rankings coming up right after this. Nelly and Nick's picks will follow right after that. Our games of the week will cap off the video. And very soon, this week, we're going to be dropping our Mr. IAbasketball watch list. We're hitting kind of the halfway, 3/4 of the way through the regular season. So it is about time to start thinking about those end of the year awards. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to send out some, I think we're going to do 15 guys, no particular order, just 15 dudes in every class that are up there for the award. Our rankers are going to put that together, and hopefully we'll get that out at some point around Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. That'll be on all the socials. And I think we're going to get right into the rankings here to get us started. Here's the Class 4A rankings for this week. I'm going to pull up my notes here while you guys take a look at that. All right, let's go. Cedar Falls holds down the number 1 spot. They did lose last week to number 8 Linmar, but they hold secure up at the top spot. Valley jumps up to number 2. Last week they beat Johnston. That was Hawkeyes Northwest. They beat Hawkeyes Northwest last week, as well as Dowling, a revenge game there for Valley. Kennedy stays at number 3. Northwest down a couple spots after the loss to Valley. Hawkeyes stays put at number 5. Linmar gets a boost after their big win against Cedar Falls. Dubuque Senior up to number 7. Johnston goes down to number 8. Muscatine down to number 9. They lost to Davenport North. And as you can see down the bottom there, Davenport North got a boost as well. Dowling, Iowa City West, Ames, Cedar Rapids, Prairie all get a boost in the rankings. Council Bluffs, Abe Lincoln, finally the only undefeated team left, definitely in 4A. I'm not so sure about the rest of the state. But the last undefeated team, they finally crack our rankings for the first time this season. We've seen people asking for them, and here they are. Davenport North, they sneak up in there in the number 15 spot, and Sioux City East will hold out at number 16. Moving on to Class 3A. Lots going on here. Number 1 and 2 stay put there for Ballard and Clear Lake. Nevada goes up, and Decorah goes down a spot. Who did Decorah? Decorah lost to Cedar Rapids Prairie last night on Saturday. That was a close game. Very impressive win for Cedar Rapids Prairie there. That was Decorah's probably their biggest challenge of the season so far. So they get a little spot down in the rankings. Knoxville, ADM, Storm Lake stay put. Mount Vernon and Waller swap at 8 and 9. 10 through 12 stay the same. CCA gets a boost up into number 13. And Keokuk joins the rankings at number 15. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they beat West Burlington? Was that right? Yes, they beat West Burlington on that Saturday night. It was a really impressive win for them, even though it's a class down.
I believe they got 2 big wins last week. I believe they're actually on a 9-game winning streak. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe so. They're on a
rightfully so then. Keokuk, they were in our rankings earlier this season, and then they fell out there for a little bit. I'm going to try and pull them up really quick.
Yeah, that's
9 straight. So they started the season 0-3, and then they go on a 9-game win streak, including that win against West Burlington. And like I said, class down, but undeniably they have one of the best players in the state with Mason Watkins. They're one of the best players in one of the best teams in 2A, so hats off to Keokuk. And Des Moines Christian falls to the number 16 spot. Going down to 2A, Western Christian. Oh, geez, a bunch of movement in 2A this week. Western Christian gets the bump back up into the number 1 spot. That's the first time since, I think it was one of the first weeks of the season. They're back in the number 1 spot. Kemper Catholic up into number 2. I said last week that Grandview Christian deserved a bump in the rankings, and they did this week. They're up to number 3. Grundy Center up to number 4. West Lyon, they moved down to number 5 after they lost to Kemper Catholic. That was my dog pick. More on that later. Cascade goes up to number 6. Monticello down to number 7. Trainer gets a bump up to number 8. Regina Catholic, the only rank in the entire 2A rankings that stayed the same. Regina stays at number 9. West Burlington Unity Christian fall in the rankings. Applington Parkersburg goes up. Tri-Center down. And then Spirit Lake goes up, with Northeast and Ridgeview joining the rankings for the first time this season. Northeast, gosh dang it, who did they beat this week? They got a nice win. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they got a nice win over a ranked team. I know that much. Oh, it was Monticello. That's right. They beat Monticello in an upset.
Yep.
And
I believe that was Monticello's first loss.
So very impressive for the Rebels, and that's good enough to get into our rankings. We'll cap it off with Class 1A. 1 through 4 stay the same. No movement there. Holy Trinity, they fell from number 5 last week, and they're back to number 5 this week after they upset West Burlington, I believe it was on Friday. Really good win for them. Like I said, West Burlington, a really good team. Really good win. Remsen St. Mary's, they had a pretty tough upset. I'm trying to remember who. Oh, it was MMCRU. What a score that was. I sent that to Nelly there. 33-32 was the final score in that game. I think that was...
offensive shootout.
I think that had to have been a first through this year. That was certainly eye-catching. 8 through 11 in the 1A rankings stay all the same. Collins Maxwell, Northwood, and Northwood Kensett and ACGC all get a boost in the rankings. MMCRU gets a boost up. They've started really great here in the season, and they finally got that prove-it win against Remsen St. Mary's to get them into the rankings. And then North Mahaska drops down to number 16. So there you have it. That was our rankings. Don't go just yet. We've got our picks coming up as well as our game of the week. So don't miss out on that. Before that, we're going to take a look at our picks from last week. Whew. I had a pretty good week last week. 4-0. I have yet to miss a dunk this year so far. I'm 20-4-0 in that category, and I got 3 out of 4 on the dogs last week. Ankeny won, Carroll won, and Kemper won. It was very impressive. I was very happy to see that. And then your dunks, you went undefeated again. I don't think you've missed any since those first couple weeks of the season. So you figured it out.
No, that was my
You're
bad.
brand new to this, man. You just had to find your footing. And then you hit Holy Trinity Catholic with the dog pick against West Burlington. I had my doubts, but that was a good hit. It was a good dog hit. And then Cedar Rapids Prairie for 4A. Over Decorah, that's right, which was also a good pick that I probably wouldn't have picked myself. But, Nelly, what's got to change this week? I mean, I'm starting to pull away here.
You're not that far ahead. One bad week and one good week for me. I'm back in it. I'm feeling pretty good about my picks this week.
I'll say that there were a handful of picks that I saw that I was going to pick myself, and then I had to change it because you had already picked them. So I'm not going to completely say your picks are bad because some of them I liked. Before we go to our picks here, I did break down. I forgot to make like a numbers graphic for this, but I broke down our records in each class for dunks and dogs. And I'll say for 4A, my best class is 2. I'm 5-1 on dog picks in Class 2A. I've only missed one. I don't know how.
Wow.
And then for 1A, I'm 0-6. So if I'm picking 1A, man, like look out. I'm sorry. It's like a
Can't win
hex,
them all.
man, I swear.
Can't win them all.
You're pretty even across the board, 2-4 for 4A, 3A, and 1A, and then 1-5 in 2A. So man, like my 2A ball knowledge is through the roof. Like we're just on different planets. But I just thought that was fun. Maybe I'll make a little numbers graphic for that next week so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. But in any case, we'll move on. It's time to actually go over our picks. So that's what we're going to do. I'll let you start off with Class 4A.
All right, my Class 4A dog of the week is going to be West Des Moines Valley over Urbandale. I mean, Valley's got 4 of the best players in the entire state, not just in 4A. I mean, Trevin Jarek, he's a monster in the paint. I mean, there's no one that can really stop him. And I just think they're probably just going to roll through this one. They're on a hot winning streak. After losing to Cedar Falls, they won 4 straight, including 3 ranked wins against Ankeny, Dowling, and Waukee Northwest. I mean, they're on an absolute tear. And then for my 4A dunk of the week, I have Dowling over Waukee. Dowling is a sneaky team. I got to see them play against Waukee earlier, and they did lose that one. But you never know with this team. I mean, they don't really have one true star that stands out in front of the entire team, but they have a lot of guys who put in a lot of quality minutes and will get points on that board.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to go watch. Have I been to watch Dowling this year yet? I actually don't think so. But yeah, I think you're definitely right. Nobody, you got nobody that's putting up 30 points a game and whatnot, but it's just one of those teams that they just strive on their teamwork and moving the ball around and getting everybody the ball. That's awesome. So I like that pick. I'll get started my dunk. I'm going to go Cedar Falls over Iowa City Liberty. Cedar Falls, fresh off a loss there. They did pick up a nice 1-point win over Ames. So that's definitely a confidence booster, I think, after their close loss to Linn-Mar. And so they take on Iowa City Liberty this week. I watched Cedar Falls. Like, they're shooters, man. I mean, it feels like if you give them any space to shoot the ball, any time to get an open look, it feels like it's an automatic green light, I swear. This is a really good team. I have a lot of confidence in the way they move the ball around. This is just a really disciplined group who plays, really fun to watch on offense, but only 44.9 points per game on average on defense as well. So this is just an all-around solid group. I think that they deserve to stay at the number 1 spot this week despite the loss. They're just a really great team and a really good start to the season. I still think they're one of the favorites to win. So that's my dunk. My dog, arguably, I'm not sure if they are. Yeah, they are the game of the week. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But I'm going to take Waukee over Waukee Northwest. Last time they played, I was at this game, and it came down to the wire. I mean, it felt like it was back and forth the whole game. And, I mean, honestly, to this point, pretty similar seasons. Waukee 9-2, Waukee Northwest 10-3. And I think that Waukee's got the stuff to do it. Evan Jacobson, he has been leading the way on the offensive side, 17.4 points per game. And you've watched Evan Jacobson as well. You just watch. He takes over the paint on the defensive side. And obviously he's just such a presence there. Being such a tall guy, he can just stand there, and he's got a pretty easy look at the rim, and he's aggressive, and I really like that about him. He's an awesome player. So I'm going to go with the Warriors there. I think that they've got a shot. It is very hard to beat a team twice, especially a team as good as Northwest. So I think it's going to be more challenging than the first time they played them, but I've got confidence in the Warriors, and I think they can take a win there. So we will move on to Class 3A. Nelly, tell us what you got.
All right, my Class 3A dunk is going to be CCA Clear Creek Amana over South Tama. Andrew Rotzel leading the scoring for Clear Creek Amana, 16.6 points per game. Clear Creek Amana has not lost to South Tama since 2017, and that was 13 matchups ago. They have won 13 straight here in South Tama, and I think they make it 14 on Tuesday. They're having a very solid start to their year. And my 3A dog of the week is going to be Des Moines Christian over Pella, another top 16 matchup here. Number 16 versus number 11, which was in contention for game of the week in 3A, but we got a pretty good one set up between Waller and Xavier that we'll talk about a little bit later. But Des Moines Christian being led by Max Town and Seton Ingram, two very solid players, but I'm worried a little bit about their depth, and I think that's what's hurt them most during this season. And they're going to have a tough matchup against Pella and Jack McGuire, so we'll see how that one
All
goes.
right, yeah, so we'll start off my dunk for 3A. I'm going 80M here. They're taking on Winterset, another Central Iowa team that I've gotten the chance to watch, and they're really good. Hudson Lawrenson is the name that sticks out, not only on the stat sheet, but also when you go and watch them in person. 26.3 points per game. I'm not the 3A ranker, but I would definitely have him in the Mr. IA basketball conversation. And ADM, just a really solid season. I mean, their losses this year have been really close. Their most recent one was to Gilbert in a 1-point loss on the 7th. And I think they've looked they're a really good team. I think they're a contender to make it to the state tournament. Not much to say here. Really efficient offense. They play solid defense, and I think they can take care of the job here against Winterset. My dog for this week, I won't say much because we'll talk about it here in a moment. But I've got Wallert, the upset over Dubuque Senior. Dubuque Senior, fresh off of a nice win over Iowa City West. I was pretty impressed by that, and they didn't lose by much to Cedar Rapids Kennedy, which is another really solid team in Class 4A. Waller, they didn't do very well against Kennedy, the same team there. They lost 77-43. But I still think this is a good Waller team. Similar to their football team, just not a lot of guys that stick out on the stat sheet. Really good team. They win a lot of games, and you just hate to play them because they always find a way to win. And I think they'll do just that out there in Dubuque. It kind of makes me sad. There's a lot of good Dubuque teams that I wish I could cover, and it's just simply out of my reach. I can't afford to drive that. But anyway, we'll move on to Class 2A. Let's hear what you got.
All right, my Class 2A dunk of the week is going to be Grandview Christian over South Hamilton. And I think we do have a couple of South Hamilton fans of the channel and of our content. And I'd love to post this score for you guys because, I've been hearing a lot of good things for the South Hamilton Hawks. Shout out Mom, South Hamilton alum back in I don't think she want me sharing how long ago that was. But Grandview Christian is a very, very talented team, of course. Emiliano Barentes, he's one of the best players in the state, not just in 2A. He's a very, very good player, and he loves to spread the ball around even to his teammates. And Jameson Schardenberg, he's averaging 17.9 points per game behind Emiliano. They're undefeated, and I don't see a reason why they won't beat South Hamilton. So that is my dunk. And then my 2A dog of the week is going to be the newly ranked Northeast Rebels. And they're playing Cascade, which I believe they're ranked number 6, I want to say. Yes, number 6. And that is our game of the week. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But a short summary for Northeast is after they lost Cascade, they have won, let's see, looks like 7 straight games after losing to Cascade. So something about that Cascade loss lit a fire in these Northeast boys. And I'll tell you what, they can shoot the ball. I watched them against West Branch, and they can shoot the ball for sure.
Yeah, I like those picks. Northeast, that was a game that was specifically one of the games I was going to pick on as a dunk. Red hot team. I like your pick there. And like you said with Grandview Christian, I watched them in person. I was very impressed by the way they played against Nevada. Nevada's an elite team in Class 3A, and Grandview Christian shot the lights out. It wasn't just Emiliano. He did have an amazing game, but I was impressed by their whole team shooting that night. So I like both of those picks there. Let's see. My dunk for this week, I'm going with Kemper Catholic. Team that I talked about last week because I picked them as a dog and they beat West Line in the game of the week. I was very happy to see that pick turn out. They're taking on Creston on the 24th. And, not a lot to say outside of, what I said last week. I think it just goes to show, that how good this team is. When you play a team like West Line, that they're good, they're solidified in that top 5 in Class 2A. And, this wasn't just like a 1 or 2 point loss that could have gone either way. They won 81-78. That's a pretty solid win. And so I'm just really confident in this Knights team. I think they'll keep going against Creston. And my dog for this week, very tough pick here. I'm going with Spirit Lake, and they're taking on Storm Lake. Storm Lake, one of the best teams in Class 3A, with one of the best players on the team, Jaden Kuhn. It's no secret. We just posted him just destroying the rim. I think was it against Spencer? Yeah.
Yeah, he
That
doesn't
was
like that rim very
ridiculous.
much.
9 dunks in a game. This dude's the real deal. However, Spirit Lake has a couple gentlemen, the Stecker brothers, who he covered a lot for football. They are also the real deal. Dylan Stecker, averaging 20 points a game. Ethan Stecker, 15.3 for him. They are both leading in the top 2 for points scored and rebounds per game. And Spirit Lake, they've won a majority of their matchups historically since a long time ago, 2007. Stats from Bound from 2007. And Spirit Lake holds the lead in that series, 22-15. Storm Lake did beat Spirit Lake December 13th of this season in a 9-point victory. And I'm going to look for the tables to turn. I do believe in the fact that it is harder to beat a team twice. It's harder to beat a team twice than it is the first time. So I'm going to ride on that. Spirit Lake, they've had a really good season. One of their losses came to Storm Lake, and I think they've flipped the tables this time. So we will finish off our picks with Class 1A. Let's finish this.
All right, my Class 1A dunk of the week is going to be North Lynn over Central City, and there's not much else you have to say about North Lynn other than Mason Beck, and he's an absolute animal. He cooled off a little bit after the first week. He was averaging probably 50 points or something crazy like that, putting up absolute video game numbers, but he's still averaging 30 points for a very good Northland team that could definitely make a run deep in the postseason like they do every year. And I think that they're just going to absolutely roll. They are 30-3 all time since 2008 against Central City, and the last loss was coming in 2014. So that was a long time ago. I'm no mathematician, but that was probably a little bit ago. And my 1A dog of the week is going to be Woodbine over Trainer in the MLK Classic tomorrow. They're playing up a class against a very good Trainer team that could have been game of the week if it wasn't for the game that we're going to talk about in a little bit, Western Christian versus Remsen St. Mary. But Woodbine is also no sleeper. They are the number, I believe, 3 team in 1A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, number 3 team in 1A by our rankings, led by Carter Groover and Landon Blum. And it's just a really exciting game to see. Obviously, they haven't played very many games against each other. This is actually the first game that Bound has recorded where the 2 teams are playing against each other. And I think it should be a very high-scoring and very fun game.
Yeah, Woodbine, one of those teams I think that they need this game. They've kind of had a quiet season in terms of playing ranked teams, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to prove themselves as that top 3 team in the class. So I like those picks. I'm going to go with my dunk, the number 1 team in the IAbasketball rankings, Madrid. They're taking on West Central Valley, and they are fresh off of a big upset win over Des Moines Christian. I don't remember what their rank was. I can check really quick when they beat Des Moines Christian. They were number 15 in the Class 3A rankings. They go up 2 classes to take a really nice win over a really good Des Moines Christian team. They also have a win against ACGC, who is newer to our 1A rankings, and that was a really solid win for them. Torrance Severson and Jevin Severson. It's either Severson or Severson. I'm sorry. You think it's
I
Severson?
think it's Severson.
Well,
I
I'll go
think.
with
I
Severson.
think.
That way I can blame Nelly if it's wrong.
I want to say. Yeah,
Torin
there you
and
go.
Jevin, another pair of brothers there that I've talked about tonight. Torin, the senior, he's got 22 points per game leading the squad, and his younger brother, a freshman, Jevin, is 16 points per game. I saw a pretty nice clip of him dunking the other night. I'm assuming it was in that Des Moines Christian game, but how about that? Torin has had an amazing career at Madrid, not only on the court, but also on the football field, and it is looking like Jevin is going to pick up right where he left off. So I love to see that. So, yeah, I'm going to take Madrid over West Central Valley. And the final pick for this week in our Dunks and Dogs segment, I'm going to take Remsen St. Mary's. Recently upset by MMCRU, potentially an underrated team there in those 1A rankings. They're new to the rankings now this week, but they take on Western Christian, number 1 team. It's kind of a quiet week for Class 1A, but this is a perfect opportunity for Remsen St. Mary's, who I think is a really solid 1A team. They're only 9-2. They haven't played a bunch of games, but this is their opportunity right here, right now. Game of the week. Get back in the win column against one of the best teams in the class ahead of you. So that's going to do it for our picks. Don't go just yet. We're going to finish off this video with our games of the week. Nellie's going to break down the best games of the week in every class, starting with Class 4A. I'll let you get us started here.
All right. Class 4A game of the week is going to be Waukee Northwest versus Waukee, that crosstown rival. And anything about crosstown rivals, these teams absolutely hate each other. And it's for good reason. These are two very good teams, very talented teams that could run into each other deep in the postseason or even in a just in a regular season matchup like this. Of course, you mentioned last time you were at the game and Waukee took that one as a lower ranked team, and they've actually won the last 3 matchups between these two. But I don't know, Waukee Northwest, I feel like it might be their time. There's a big key to their game is shooting the 3 ball. I mean, they've shot almost 40 more 3-pointers, or they've made almost 40 more 3-pointers this season than Waukee has. And I think that would be a big part of their success if they want to win this game against Waukee. And of course, shutting down Evan Jacobson post, which is not an easy task to do. But I think Waukee Northwest could possibly pull this one off and stay the higher ranked
Yeah,
team.
and I'll tell you what, I've been to that game 2 years in a row now, and they always pack the gym for those games. It doesn't matter which Waukee they are at. I mean, everybody's still living in the same town, so I think everybody piles in for this game. It's always an awesome environment. So, yeah, I think that deserves to be game of the week. That'll be one we're definitely keeping up with. So we'll move on to Class 3A. Here's our Class 3A game of the week. Take it away.
All right, our Class 3A game of the week is going to be Wahlert Catholic versus Xavier. And these are two teams that I guess you wouldn't really recognize as 3A teams because they play a 4A schedule in the Missouri Valley Conference. You don't see them playing a lot of 3A teams that are playing up against Dubuque Hempstead, Cedar Rapids Jefferson, and Cedar Rapids Kennedy, Iowa City High, all in the last 5 games for Wahlert. But they compete. They really do. I mean, when they play up against this higher competition, they play very well. And Xavier as well playing, beating Dubuque Hempstead and playing pretty good against Cedar Kennedy, only losing by about 12 points. But two of these teams that are very talented on both sides of the ball. Ethan Meyer for Wahlert Catholic, averaging 11.7 points per game, and then Caleb Wilgenbush for Xavier, averaging 13.4. I think this should be a very talented game that would almost feel like a 4A game, and hopefully it has that same atmosphere there. And a fun fact about this one is Xavier with the win will tie the all-time series at 11, and that will be probably, I don't know if they play again this year, but that will maybe bring some tension next year if they put when
Yeah,
they play
right.
again.
I like that little fun fact thrown in there. I just checked; they do not play each other for the rest of the season, unless of course they get
They don't.
matched up in the playoffs,
All
which
right.
is something we won't know for a
Yep.
while. But yeah, I like that matchup. Yeah, you're definitely right. They're kind of in the short end of the stick there because they got to play those really good, usually really good teams in Class 4A. So it'll be interesting to see them face off against each other. And let's move on. Our Class 2A game of the week.
All right, our Class 2 game of the week that I did mention earlier is going to be the Northeast Rebels versus the Cascade Cougars. Northeast newly ranked, but well-deserved. Gavin Kramer dropped 47 points against Camachi, hitting 11 three-pointers. I mean, that's about as good as a game as you're going to have in Iowa, but who knows? We've seen Jackson Lassurance's name a lot on those no performances graphics. He's been a top scorer for the entire state of Iowa this entire year. He's averaging 21.7 points per game. And two of these teams pretty evenly matched. They're both averaging around 70 points and giving up about 50, which, I mean, that'd be the tell for who wins this game. It's just who can limit those turnovers and keep the other team locked down. Their top scorers. They got two very good players at the top of both their lineups.
Yeah. Shout out to Cascade. Their most recent game was against Sandwich High School. Are you seeing that right?
Shout out
The
Sandwich High
Sandwich
School.
High School Blue Knights. That's awesome. I wish they were playing in Iowa. I'd love to cover that team. Anyway, that's an awesome game. I love to hear that. Northeast, kind of interesting. They're 11-2 on the season, and we haven't really said much about them until this week. So it's a good week to be a Rebel, I suppose. We'll see if that continues into this week. And we will finish this video, Class 1A Game of the Week.
All right, our Class 1A game of the week is going to be Remsen St. Mary's versus Western Christian. Western Christian, the number one ranked team for both us and the Iowa High School Athletic Association, number one in 2A, and well-deserved. Caden Van Regan Mortar, right? Yeah, Regan Mortar, very talented player. I haven't been able to see very many Western Christian games, obviously being on the complete opposite side of the state as them. But I've heard very good things about this historically dominant program that's constantly competing for a state championship every single year. But Remsen St. Mary is they're no pushover for sure. I mean, they did just get upset in a pretty low scoring match, but they've been dominating the rest of the year. I mean, Sam Schmillen averaging 15.3 points per game, shooting 58% from the field is pretty solid if you want to win a game and score some points. So we'll see how that game goes, and I'm sure it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I think our call just cut out, so I can't hear Nelly right now. But that's going to do it for our show this week. I'm really appreciative of you guys that are coming in. We got pretty good views on the last show, so definitely keep it up here. We love making these videos for you guys, and we love reading your comments and everything that you have to say. Mostly love, of course, is what we're noticing. Never really any hate on any of the stuff we're posting, but that's going to do it for us. Make sure to like and comment your own opinions on what we had to say. Be sure to be on the lookout for X, Instagram, and Facebook. We're going to be putting out those Mr. IA Basketball watch lists here very soon at some point this week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. As always, we're going to be posting scores, clips, all that good stuff from games and whatnot from across the state. So, yeah, keep it up. We're loving the support, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.